On this episode, we visit Berkeley to talk with the director of Baypeds. Across the bay in San Francisco, we learn about the Senior Action Network. Farther south, the founder of Los Angeles Walks takes on a Herculean task. In Honolulu, a new pedestrian group is just getting started. On the Big Island of Hawaii, we meet the chair of the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. And finally, we take a quick look at missing sidewalks in Washington. Stay tuned. We're in Berkeley, California, talking with Zachary Wald, who's director of Baypeds. What is Baypeds?
Baypeds is a new pedestrian advocacy organization that was started by Urban Ecology, which is an environmental group which has been around since the 1970s. And they concentrate on sustainable development, and walking is a really primary issue in sustainable development.
So what sort of issues is Baypeds looking at?
Well, the first issue we've decided to tackle is pedestrian safety. We took a look at what are the most dangerous intersections around the Bay Area, and we're trying to figure out what's wrong with these intersections. How can we make less people get injured, less people get killed at these intersections?
What sort of statistics are available on something like that?
Okay, well, in California, we have the statewide integrated traffic record system, which is a really handy bunch of statistics that the California Highway Patrol collects at a statewide level. And it details bike accidents, pedestrian accidents, car accidents, and specifically for every intersection where these accidents occur all across the state of California.
And once you've located an intersection that's had a lot of accidents, how do you solve the puzzle?
Okay. Well, we've developed an intersection research tool, that's what we call it, and we're handing this out to our members who are literally all across the Bay Area. And this tool is basically a worksheet that they can use to examine an intersection and say, and measure simple things like how long people have to cross, how long is the walking light, how far of a distance is it across the street. Are they given enough time with the walking light for that distance? What are the other factors? Are there senior citizen centers near these dangerous intersections? Are there schools? So it's a sheet that allows us to collect a lot of information about the intersections, and then our plan is to compile all that information and develop what we call the State of the Bay Area Pedestrian Report.
What are you going to be looking at besides intersections? What else do you have on your plate?
Well, I think that walking safety is really just one of our concerns. I think it's the most cogent and easy to understand for policymakers and for people in general. But I also think that it's important to know that a walkable city is a pleasant city, is a place where people want to spend their money, is a place where people want to go downtown, is a place with community. A city that's not walkable, one in many ways like Berkeley, although it has some good parts and some bad parts, is where you have highways running right through the center of town. People can't talk, they can't hear each other, there's pollution, it's a bad environment. And I think it really affects the commercial success of businesses, clearly the safety of pedestrians, and the overall quality of life in that city environment.
We're in San Francisco talking with Bob Planthold, who's the head of the Pedestrian Task Force of the Senior Action Network. What is the Senior Action Network?
It's an amalgamation of about 125 different senior agencies and groups come together to advocate for better senior services, senior safety, housing, and health care.
And what's the Pedestrian Task Force that you all put together?
It came about as a result of many seniors being injured while in the crosswalk and with the lights because cars were not paying attention. They were driving as if they were on a freeway, or they were turning right on a red light, which was legal, but the seniors couldn't get out of the way in time. We decided we had to take action to stop that people were more important than cars.
And what are some of the things you've been able to accomplish?
Okay, this is one of the intersections of what we termed our dangerous dozen. It was a survey of senior groups, of accident rates, and of violation rates to see which intersections were dangerous, had accidents, and were near where seniors were. We were able to get prohibitions for right turns on red, which is done in pictographic form, so that way if somebody is not fully fluent in reading English, they can still see the indication, don't turn here. We were able to do that. We were also able to extend the crossing time so that those who were slow, like myself, or families with toddlers, as well as seniors, all could get across safely.
And what are some of the things you're working on now?
Right now we're looking at adding audible crossing signage for those who are blind and low vision. That way they also can function independently and safely by listening to the appropriate sound. We've got experiments, as you know, in Civic Center of this city, in our City Hall and Main Library, and now at the Ferry Building, all large collectors of tourists and of the city population in general. We work with city departments and encourage them to solicit citizen input. It's been such a good collaboration that now our parking and traffic department got a $600,000 grant from the federal government to look at ways to make it safe to cross extra wide boulevards where there's a median strip. And what we've come up with is different ways that there can be a safe haven, a waiting spot, a way to extend the crossing time. We've got different experiments going to see what can work so that when there's a 4-lane boulevard each way plus a median that's maybe 120 feet wide, how do you get across, or how can you wait safely in the center? Some of this we do through our advertising, like this t-shirt is an example of a safety campaign that we started, that we also had this replicated in billboards, on bus shelter posters, and even here on this bumper sticker. The bumper stickers were so successful when we gave it out to our members, we got asked for more copies. So now these are on every city vehicle except police and fire engines, on our ambulances, on our garbage trucks. The idea is they're rolling billboards, bulletin boards for the safety information. And they're out on the street more than private cars. We've even had these on cabs as well, so that more people begin to realize people are a part of traffic. It is not just cars, and that you have to look out for people, not just cars.
Someone in another city doesn't have a group like the Senior Action Network. What was the key to getting started? What advice could you give them?
Focus your anger. Find out where the problems are, and then start to work with those who have energy and time, typically seniors. And since seniors often vote consistently, far out of proportion to the numbers, politicians are far more likely to pay attention to a senior group that's just upset than they would to any average group of homeowners or parents, I'm sorry to say. The pragmatic realities are seniors have time to go lobby City Hall, to go to meetings, to write letters, as opposed to those who are raising kids. Work with and through senior groups. Hospital emergency rooms are far aware of the accident rates. The public health department often is aware of accident rates. These are agencies that can assist senior groups and citizen advocates to get focused and be effective.
We're in Los Angeles talking with Deborah Murphy, who's an urban designer with Melendrez Associates. What is Melendrez Associates?
We're a landscape architecture and urban design firm that practice in the Los Angeles area. We do work for various cities. We help design landscape for libraries, fire stations, metro, red line stations. We do a lot of streetscape projects like Hollywood Boulevard and Vermont Avenue, where there's a number of subway stations that will open next year. That's just a sampling of the kind of work we do.
And does a lot of that involve things that would affect pedestrians?
Absolutely. The streetscape projects are to enhance the walkability of our communities, so they make streets safer, as beautify them, as well for transit riders, make bus stop environment a cleaner and safer place to wait for a bus and connect to important destinations as they come from home to work or to do errands.
In your spare time, you've become the founder of Los Angeles Walks. What is Los Angeles Walks?
Los Angeles Walks is a pedestrian advocacy organization that wants to call attention to encouraging pedestrian activity. We want to help better engineer our streets so that they're safer and more beautiful for pedestrians. We want to make sure that we educate drivers on pedestrian safety and that we help enforce pedestrian regulations through our police departments.
What areas are you going to address first? I mean, you've got a big job cut out for you here in Los Angeles.
Well, one of our probably most critical issues is to work with the City of Los Angeles. Although the County of Los Angeles has 89 cities, the largest of those cities is the City of Los Angeles. And those are some of the most dire problems are in those communities. Many of the other cities have made a lot of progress on doing a lot of traffic calming, to beautifying their streets and addressing pedestrian safety issues on major streets. The City of Los Angeles, however, has got a ways to go in that. There's a lot of bureaucratic opposition to a number of policies regarding pedestrian safety and not a very coordinated sort of streetscape design effort. So we want to focus on that. There's a new pedestrian advisory committee that's being formed by the Transportation Committee of the Council of the City of Los Angeles, and we want to get a membership on that committee so that we can have an ongoing dialogue with the City of Los Angeles. We want to attend public hearings on development projects so that we make sure pedestrian issues are looked at in each of those projects. So we want to attend those kinds of events, and we want to stage, demonstrations about dangerous intersections where children or adults have been injured or killed, to let people know that pedestrians have the right to cross the street, similar to what other organizations have done around the country. So I'd say sort of the demonstrations, getting communities involved in the safety of their neighborhoods, and working with the City of Los Angeles, various commissions and committees are some of our highest priorities. I'm really lucky that the local representation from the Surface Transportation Policy Project, STPP, has offered assistance from a staff person, maybe part-time, to help us get going. And we were going to form a board of directors very soon and be able to have a number of advocates that can go forward with this agenda.
STPP recently came out with their Mean Streets report. How did LA fare in that?
We didn't look very good. We had the highest pedestrian fatality count in the United States of any metropolitan region, over 100,000 people. We have only 1% of the safety money in California is spent on pedestrian safety and enhancements, yet 18% of the serious injuries and deaths related to auto accidents have pedestrians involved. So we'd like 18% of the money spent on pedestrian issues that are our transportation dollars in California. So we don't fare very well. We have a number of very serious intersections where year after year after year, 4 or 5 people are killed at many intersections, like the one we see behind us here today, just not far up the street. 6 kids were hit about a year ago. One of them died in that accident. These were kids from 3 to 6 years old, where a driver lost control of his car and went up on the sidewalk. So where it wasn't even at an intersection where someone was trying to cross, kids were just playing on the sidewalk and a car came up on it and injured these children. So there's a lot of unsafe driving habits that occur in Los Angeles, and we need to do what we can to stem that, to have some better driver education in relation to that, and get our police departments to help enforce the regulations and get people to pay attention to their responsibility as an auto driver to the more vulnerable people, which are those that are walking and that are on bikes.
What are the most critical places in the pedestrian infrastructure?
I think the intersections are, whether they're signalized or unsignalized intersection, that's where cars and pedestrians come together. And it's one where there's the most danger, actually. Drivers like this one, who is out in the middle of the crosswalk prior to their signal time, I mean, that right turn movement that we get to do, right turn on red, is a really serious problem for us. We've stopped putting in stop lines, so people who don't stop actually in the crosswalk and don't even stop behind the crosswalk, so even pedestrians who are crossing there don't have the opportunity to do so. We don't paint crosswalk lines at unsignalized intersections from that study that was done back in the 1960s that said at unsignalized crossings that you shouldn't paint the lines because it creates a false sense of security for a pedestrian. However, today's drivers believe there is not a legal crossing if there are not the white lines. A number of people can testify of the problems of trying to cross at an unsignalized intersection and not getting the respect from a driver in that case. And we need to reduce the distance pedestrians have to cross a street. We should try to do curb extensions wherever possible that sort of take over that parking area, that about 8-foot wide extension would be a great asset to getting pedestrians to have less distance, especially our senior citizens who have a travel time lag over regular pedestrians because they're not walking as fast, as well as children who aren't as, even though they may be able to walk faster, they're just not as conscious of what they're doing and their responsibility to cut across the street. So we need to do whatever we can to help them put in median islands to help have a refuge for people at signalized and under-signalized intersections. I think our intersections are a key place where we can make serious improvements, as well as beautifying those locations as well, because most of Los Angeles is not about districts, it's about where there are crossroads of two major streets, and that's where our commercial neighborhoods are. So if we can do something to enhance those crossings and beautify them as well as make them safer, we can really add to the community character of our commercial districts and make them more connected to our beautiful residential neighborhoods, which are always very noteworthy, but our commercial districts very much lag behind that.
We're in Honolulu talking with Todd Belanger.
Aloha.
You've been getting together with some people recently, trying to create a new group to address pedestrian issues. How's that going?
It's going quite well. We have individuals from the transit groups, we have bicyclists, pedestrians, and also persons interested in advocating for those with disabilities. We hope to either be a nonprofit or to umbrella under another local nonprofit relatively soon.
What are some of the issues you're going to be looking at?
The issues we're looking at: street design, community participation in the planning process for transportation projects. Also, we're very interested in how transportation fits in our communities, how it makes things livable, usable, and cost of living in Hawaii. Hawaii also has a very elderly population, and we're looking at that population cresting pretty soon, and those individuals losing their opportunity to drive cars and operate vehicles. And once they lose their licenses, how will they get to the store? How will they interact with their peers and visit people? So we're looking at how they'll get around once they lose their licenses. We're relatively lucky to have a good bus system, but as with any system, it could use improvements.
What street are we on, and what are some of the problems here?
Okay. Well, right now we're in eastern Honolulu, and the street is Kalianiani Highway, and it's a state highway. And as you can see, it's quite busy. We have 6 lanes of traffic. One of the problems we're standing on almost is an improvement to a prior problem. About 3 years ago, the road was widened to accommodate more traffic and faster traffic, and they placed the fire hydrants in the middle of the sidewalk. So if you have a 4-foot sidewalk and you place a fire hydrant in the middle, 2 foot on each of the hydrant, it's hard to get around. If you're pushing a baby buggy, if you're a wheelchair user, or if you want to hold a conversation, it's hard to get around. So what they've done is retrofitted the sidewalk with an extension from the curb out into the bike lane, and that's caused other problems. Bicyclists use this route. It's the only route between downtown and the countryside behind us. A lot of commuters use it, a lot of triathletes practice here, rollerbladers, and pedestrians. So what they've done is they've added about a 1.5 foot extension to the curb, a bulb out, so that wheelchair users can pass by the hydrant. And in that way, it's effective. But bicyclists now have an obstacle in their path, and there are multiple hydrants along this stretch of the highway, perhaps 10 or more.
So this all could have been avoided if someone had just been thinking about where to put the hydrants in the first place.
Correct. The problem might have started when they started designing the road. They started with the center line and then moved out, and they ran out of room. So pedestrian amenities, bicycle amenities, was left to the last afterthought. And there was some discussion during construction of the hydrant problem, but it was postponed until after the project. And it's hard to move pipes under concrete once the construction's finished.
What are some of the other problems along this street?
Well, the noise, the traffic volume, the intersection behind us for pedestrians is actually hard to cross. You touch the button and you wait maybe a minute, maybe 2 minutes. If you don't wait, then you're jaywalking and you might get struck by a vehicle because of the lack of convenience. If you're an elderly person, once you get the walk signal, the pace of crossing that street is actually perhaps too quick for an elderly person or a person with disabilities to cross. I believe the methodology uses the gait of a healthy young person. And so by the time an elderly person is across the road, you're already in the red flashing zone. Also, if you look to our back, we have a high wall here. The neighbors, because of the traffic volume and the air pollution, noise pollution, have walled themselves up. And so that the eyes, there are no longer eyes onto the sidewalk and into the road for safety problems, for other concerns.
Sounds like you folks have your work cut out for you.
Yes, but there are more of us every day, and so the burden gets easier.
We're on the Big Island talking with Ron Riley, who's chair of the County of Hawaii Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. What is the committee?
Well, the committee is a group of 9 members from the 9 districts around the Big Island. So we have island-wide representation on the whole county. And our mission is to advise in the encouragement and facilitation of bicycling and walking.
How'd the committee get started?
Oh, that was a kind of a long process. We have a nonprofit advocacy group called PATH, which is People's Advocacy for Trails Hawaii. And one of our members had been asking successive mayors, I think for about 4 mayors in a row, before finally Mayor Stephen Yamashiro agreed to form this county committee. So we really thank him for doing that. He was the first in a long line of predecessors who said no. Yeah.
So what sort of things have you been working on?
Let's see. I think what we did, first of all, is we chose engineering problems that we had around the island, particular streets on the Hilo side and also in Kailua Kona that were very unfriendly and dangerous to bicyclists. And we listed those in priority order, and we started working on them, and I'm happy to say that it takes patience and perseverance and all of that, but our top priority for Hilo now has well-paved shoulders, and it's still a work in progress, but it's in the pipeline, and it's going to happen. And in Kailua Kona, the Ironman route on the Queen Ka'ahumanu Highway now has well-paved shoulders. So we're very pleased that both our top priorities for both sides of the island have been fixed as far as engineering is concerned. Yeah.
And what are the benefits of a good shoulder for a bicyclist or a pedestrian?
Well, I think the number one is that it just gives you some space, and the motor vehicles are not inconvenienced by having to deal with slower-moving bicyclists or pedestrians. As an example, just in the newspaper yesterday, we had 2 pedestrians were killed changing a tire on the side of the road because they were too close to the traffic lane, and they both got hit and were killed at the scene. And so I think the physical separation is the key thing, and that allows you to stripe it maybe for bicycle use and encourage people who maybe are not sure if they're supposed to be bicycling on the highway, and give them kind of validation that this is okay for them to do and this is their space. So we're pushing for that.
Now, what are some other things going on? What's the state of bicycle planning on the island here?
Well, bicycle planning is kind of a mixed bag. We have we have excellent cooperation actually for the state when they do resurfacing. They're trying to do good shoulders whenever they resurface. We, however, in contrast to that good effort, we have had the state planning process, which was a long, drawn-out process, finally came out with a statewide transportation plan, which is basically a car plan. It addresses the problem of auto congestion by providing additional motor vehicle traffic lanes, and it's basically a car plan. It essentially defers to other planning efforts any initiatives that might involve pedestrians or bicycling or mass transit. And we're disappointed with that because it was our understanding that the federal legislation required integrated transportation planning, including land use aspects, which was ignored in this plan.
So what are some of the other things that are going on?
Let's see. The other big initiative from the state DOT, again mandated by the federal, is a call for enhancements projects. And enhancements projects are typically bicycle and pedestrian projects. And we have an exciting proposal which has come out of PATH to have a 300-mile Circle Island multi-use trail, which we're going to call the Ka'apuni o Hawaii. And Ka'apuni is a Hawaiian word which means in circle. And this multi-use path will parallel the existing roadways, and it will also parallel the ancient Hawaiian stepping stone walking and hiking trail that is also being restored. So this is a pretty exciting process. We've put in for money. We don't know yet how much we'll get. Some sections are already in place, some beginning short sections, and each community is going to have a chance to, all around the Big Island, to identify where they would want this Circle Island multi-use trail to go. So we think it's going to be a unifying concept and an exciting one for tourists and local people alike.
Some people think it's just the suburbs that lack basic pedestrian facilities. We're here in the District of Columbia along 16th Street Northwest, a major arterial, a lot of potential for pedestrian traffic. We're only a 10-minute walk from the Silver Spring Metro Rail station, and yet there's no sidewalk along here. No indication that anyone has any plans to put in a sidewalk. The city needs to realize that it's not just the suburbs that neglect pedestrians. There are problems here as well.
Visit us on the internet at www.pedestrians.org.